Welcome to the Joint Finance Appropriation Committee this morning. We apologize for the delay. We're in the middle of trying to figure out some things. So let's go ahead and begin. Ms. Einer, if you would call the roll for us.
Chairman Grow.
Here.
Bjerke. Here. Burtonshaw. Here. Lent. Here. Cook. Here. Van Orden. Here. Adams. Herndon. Ward Engelking. Here. Just. Here. Representative Horman. Miller.
Present.
Bundy. Here. Raybold. Here. Furness. Here. Lambert. Here. Tanner. Here. Petsky. Here. Handy. Here. Green.
Thank you for your presence here this morning. And we have a quorum from the House and a quorum from the Senate. And at this point, we have several items on the agenda, but we're going to go to ease first and figure out some things. So we shall return. So we are at ease.
Hardware and closed captioning for Idaho in Session is provided by the Idaho Legislature and Idaho Legislative Services Office. Additional funding is provided by the Idaho Public Television Endowment.
We're back in order. So let's move ahead. First on our agenda, we have Mr. Tatro, Office of Drug Policy. Go ahead, please.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, the first budget before you is for the Office of Drug Policy. Information on the Office of Drug Policy can be found in your budget book on 6-65. And for a quick reminder, the Office of Drug Policy was created by the legislature in 2007 and placed under the Office of the Governor to address Idaho's substance use and misuse policy and prevention efforts. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Tatro. Do we have any questions for our analyst? If not, then we're open for motions. Whoever would like to make a motion, go ahead, please.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Cook,
for a motion?
go for it.
Thank you, sir. For the Office of Drug Policy, beginning with fiscal year 2025 base, reduce $2,000 for benefit costs and $200 for statewide cost allocation.
Excuse me, Senator Cook. Can you tell us which, we have two motion possibilities here. Would you tell us which one you're on, please?
It's the Office of Drug Policy 1.
One, thank you.
Would you like me to start over?
If you choose, your choice.
All right, thank you. For the Office of Drug Policy, beginning with the fiscal year 2025 base, reduce $2,000 for benefit costs and $200 for statewide cost allocation. Then add $14,500 for change in employee compensation and $100,000 for community models. For fiscal year 2025, I move for the Office of Drug Policy $376,200 from the general fund, $124,500 from dedicated funds, and $4,500,000 from federal funds, for a total of $5,700,000 and cap the full-time equivalent positions at 6.
Thank you. I appreciate that motion. Is there a second? Second by Representative Petsky. Would you like to speak further to your motion?
Yes, I would. Thank you. This motion represents a complete maintenance budget for fiscal year 25 based on the definition provided in the Budget Development Manual developed under the requirements of Chapter 35, Title 67, Idaho Code, that outlines the state budget process. This definition reflects the adjustments needed to maintain the current state of operations and level of service for each program, which includes the committee's recommended 3% CEC for permanent employees. Line item 2 supports existing operations and services provided per Idaho Code 67-821, which designates the office to oversee and execute the coordination of all drug and substance abuse programs within the state of Idaho. The proposed competitive grants come from the state-directed opioid settlement fund and are intended to provide competitive grants to public and nonprofit entities that provide community-based substance use prevention models for Idaho youth. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Cook. Do we have any Other motions?
For motion, Mr. Chair.
Representative Tanner, go ahead, please.
Beginning with FY 2025, JFAC's maintenance budget and $9,700 for 2% CEC. I move an additional $4,900 from the general fund and $4,800 from federal funds for a total of $9,700. This brings the total FY 2025 original appropriation for the drug policy to $376,200 from the general fund, $24,500 from dedicated funds, and $4,500,000 from federal funds for a total of $4,900,700 and a cap of 6 full-time equivalent positions.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor, an alternate motion. Is there a second? Second. Couple of seconds. We'll take Senator Bierke as a second. Would you like to speak further to your motion, Representative Tanner?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This motion accounts for the CEC amounts approved from JFAC on 2/1/2024 and for the reappropriation of ARPA funds to complete that grant. As well as I do want to make sure that we are pointing out that this actually is one that starts with the maintenance budget itself and not going back to the existing base. So this would follow the existing maintenance budget that was actually passed this committee already, that is actually currently on between the House or the Senate floors.
Thank you. Is there an alternate substitute motion? Hearing none, we deal with the substitute motion first. So we're open for any debate, discussion on the substitute motion. No further questions. Let's go ahead then, and when we're ready, Mr. Bybee, we're ready to roll. Figueredo, are you ready? Just about.
All right. Senator Grow?
Aye.
Bierke? Burton Shaw? Lent? Cook? Van Orden? Adams? Herndon? Ward Engelking? Just? Representative Miller? Bundy? Raybold? Furness? Lambert? Tanner? Petsky? Handy?
Thank you. Would anyone like to change his or her vote? Seeing no changes, we have for the substitute motion on the Senate, we have 4 ayes, 6 nays, 0 absent and excused. And on the House side, we have 3 ayes, 5 nays, 2 absent and excused. For a total of 7 ayes, 11 nays, 2 absent and excused. Therefore, the motion has failed. And we move back to the original motion. Any more debate on the original motion? Hearing none, Ms. Figueredo, if you'll call the roll for us on that one, please.
Senator Grow?
Aye.
Bierke?
Excuse me, I meant nay. Go ahead, nay.
Senator Bierke? Burton Shaw? Lent? Cook? Van Orden? Adams? Herndon? Ward Engelking? Just? Representative Miller? Bundy? Raybold? Furness? Lambert? Tanner? Petsky? Handy?
Thank you. Would anyone like to change his or her vote on this one? Hearing none, we have for the original motion, we have for the Senate 6 ayes, 4 nays, 0 absent and excused. And for the House, we have 5 ayes, 3 nays, 2 absent and excused. So having the majority on both sides for a total of 11 ayes, 7 ayes, 2 absent, and excused. Therefore, this motion is passed, and we'll go forward with the do pass recommendation. Thank you. Next topic. You're still up, Mr. Tatro.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, yes, Senator Warding. Okay, go ahead.
I think there's language
Oh,
on this.
excuse me. Thank you. We do have language.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I was getting there. It takes a second to switch between the ballot and the
I
analyst.
understand. Thank you. Thank you, Senator.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for members of the committee, there are 2 sections of language for the Office of Drug Policy being recommended by the committee. The first is for reappropriation authority to finish out the ARPA funds that were provided by the committee just a couple years ago. The amount identified by the Office of Drug Policy for next year will be $775,100. And the second is the accountability reports to be included within this agency's appropriation bill.
Thank you. Any questions on the language? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept the language? Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I request unanimous consent to accept the language as shown on the screen.
We have a unanimous consent request. Anyone disagreeing with that? Hearing none, that request has been accepted, and the language will accompany the bill as it goes forward with a do pass recommendation. Thank you. Mr. Tatro.
Thank you,
when
Mr.
you're ready.
Chairman. The next budget before you is for the Commission for Libraries. Information can be found in your budget book on 5-73. As a reminder to the committee, the Commission for Libraries assists in statewide library development and providing continuing education and consulting services to the library community. They assist over 147 public libraries, including schools. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Tatro. Any questions for our analyst? Hearing none, do we have any motions? Representative Furness.
For a motion,
Go ahead. Motion is in order.
for the Idaho Commission of Libraries, beginning in fiscal year 2025 base, reduce $11,400 for the benefit costs, add $83,700 for statewide cost allocation, $78,700 for change in employee compensation, and $750,000 for the Digital Access for All Idahoans grant. I move for FY 2025 for the Idaho Commission of Libraries, $4,724,100 from the general fund, $70,000 from the dedicated funds, and $2,624,900 from federal funds, for a total of $7,419,000, and cap the full-time equivalent positions at 35.5.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We have the motion. Do we have a second? Second by Senator Cook. Would you like to speak further to your motion? Okay. Do we have an alternative motion? Hearing none.
Senator,
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to clarify, because this does say Commission of Libraries 2, but for some reason I'm missing the Commission of Libraries 1.
Any comment? Representative Belder, did you have a commission on libraries number 1?
Mr. Chairman, you're not missing a motion.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Tatro.
That's just how they were prepared at a time. These are the motions that were brought forth by committee members to be introduced today.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you for the question. There's our answer. All right. Let's go ahead then. When you're ready, Ms. Figueredo, let's call the roll, please.
Senator Grow.
Aye.
Bierke.
Mr. Chairman, we just need to wait for the ballot to be on the screen.
Whoop. Yes, let's do.
It's about a 12-second delay.
When you're ready, please start over when you're ready.
Start over. Senator Grow,
Nay.
Bierke, Burtonshaw, Lent, Cook, Van Orden, Adams, Herndon, Ward Ingleking, Just, Representative Miller, Bundy, Raybold, Furness, Lambert, Tanner, Petsky, Handy.
Thank you. Would anyone like to change his or her vote? Senator Bierke.
Yes, I'd like to change my vote to nay.
Okay, Senator Bierke changes his vote to nay. Anyone else? Hearing none. We have a total of, for the Senate, 6 ayes, 4 nays, 0 absent and excused. For the House, 5 ayes, 3 nays, 2 absent and excused. For a grand total of 11 ayes, 7 nays, 2 absent and excused. Therefore, with majority in favor, this passes, and we'll go to the floor with a do pass recommendation. Thank you. Let's go to the next one.
Mr. Chairman, there is language with the budget.
Thank you for that. Yes, let's go through the language. Our motion maker was Furness. Representative Furness, please walk us through the language. Or Mr. Tatro, whoever would like to. He is pointing at you, my friend, Mr.
right.
Tatro.
All right, Mr. Chairman, there are 4 sections. The first 2 pertain to reappropriation authority. The first section shown on the screen is for library projects. This would be for reappropriation from the ARPA Capital Projects Fund of $1.9 million for projects that were approved or funding that was approved by this committee last session. The second section pertains to the digital access capacity reappropriation and the digital access for all Idahoans. This amount would be to not exceed $1.75 million. The third section pertains to telehealth facilities. This was something that was added by the committee last session, directing the use of the ARPA Capital Project Fund monies to be used in compliance with Idaho Code. And finally, the accountability reports to be included in this appropriation bill as well.
Thank you. So do we have a motion on the language? Representative Furness.
Thank you. I request unanimous consent to accept the language as shown on the screen.
We have a unanimous consent request. Any objections? Hearing none, the language is accepted and we'll go forward with the bill as it goes forward with a do pass recommendation. Thank you. Next, Mr. Tatro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next budget before you is for the Idaho State Historical Society. Information on this agency can be found on 5-67 of your budget book. As a reminder to the committee, the State Historical Society is a system of cultural and historic resources that include the Idaho State Museum, the State Archives, the State Historic Preservation Office, or SHPO, and other historic site programs. The agency was established in 1907 and is organized under the Department of Self-Governing Agencies. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Tatro. Any questions for our analyst? Seeing none, do we have a motion then on this?
For a motion,
For motion. Senator Burtonshaw.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
For the Idaho State Historical Society, beginning with fiscal year 2025 base, reduce $29,200 for benefit costs, then add $70,500 for replacement items, $126,500 for statewide cost allocations, $221,100 for change in employee compensation, 2 FTP, and $133,600 for the old penitentiary staff, $101,200 for an administrative support manager, and remove 1 FTP and a net $70,000 from OITS consolidation. I move for fiscal year 2025 from the Idaho State Historical Society, $4,628,900 from the general fund, $3,529,700 from dedicated funds, and $2,311,400 from federal funds, for a total of $10,470,000 and cap full-time equivalent positions at 59.
Thank you, Senator. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Second by Representative Bundy. Would you like to speak further to your motion?
No, not at this time.
Thank you, Senator. Do we have any alternative motions? Hearing none. Let's go ahead whenever you are ready. Is there any further debate on the motion? Okay, that gave you time to get your screen going. When it pops up, we will begin to vote.
Senator Grow.
Nay?
Bierke. Burtonshaw. Lent. Cook. Van Orden. Adams. Herndon. Ward Ingle King. Just. Representative Miller. Bundy. Raybold. Furness. Lambert. Tanner. Petsky. Handy.
Thank you. Would anyone like to change his or her vote? Hearing none, we have on the Senate, 6 ayes, 4 nays, 0 absent and excused. On the House, 5 ayes, 3 nays, 2 absent and excused. A grand total of 11 ayes, 7 nays, 2 absent and excused. Therefore, with a majority, it has passed. And we'll go forward with a due pass recommendation, and we'll add the language that Mr. Tatro is going to help us with right now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It will be on the screen in just a second. This is just the standard accountability report language to be added to this appropriation bill.
Thank you. Do we have a motion on the language?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Burtonshaw.
I request unanimous consent to accept the language as shown on the screen.
Thank you. We have a unanimous consent request. Any objections? Hearing none, the language is accepted and will accompany the bill with the due pass recommendation. Thank you very much. Let's go to the next one, Mr. Tatro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next budget before you is the Public Charter School Commission. As a reminder to the committee, they did not have a budget hearing as they have a pure maintenance budget. No additional requests other than the standard adjustments. Information on the Charter School Commission can be found on 1-139 of your budget book. And as a reminder, they are Idaho's state-level charter school authorizing entity pursuant to Section 335213 Idaho Code. Members consist of 7 members appointed by the governor, subject to consent of the Senate, and the commissioners appoint the director whose authority includes the ability to hire staff and enforce applicable statutes. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Tatro. Any questions for our analyst? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Van Orden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for a motion.
Motion's in order.
For the Charter School Commission, beginning with the FY 2025 base, reduce $3,700 for benefit costs and $13,600 for statewide cost allocation. Then add $13,300 for the 3% change in employee compensation. I move for fiscal year 2025 for the Charter School Commission, $193,000 from the general fund and $531,900 from dedicated funds, for a total of $724,900, and cap the full-time equivalent positions at 5.
Thank you, Senator. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Second by, I think I heard Representative Raybold. For the second, would you like to speak further to your motion?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay. Are there any alternative motions? Hearing none, let's go ahead when you are ready to get the screen up and ready, and we'll vote.
Senator Grow.
Nay.
Bierke. Burtonshaw. Lent. Cook. Van Orden. Adams. Herndon. Ward Engelking. Just. Representative Miller. Bundy. Raybold. Furness. Lambert. Tanner. Hetzke. Handy.
Thank you. Would anyone like to change his or her vote? Hearing no changes, we have for the Senate 6 ayes, 4 nays, 0 absent and excused. For the House, 5 ayes, 3 nays, 2 absent and excused. For a grand total of 11 ayes, 7 nays, 2 absent and excused. Therefore, the majority having voted in the affirmative, this will go forward with a do pass recommendation. Do we have language in addition to this one?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. It is the standard accountability language. All right. And it's shown on the screen.
Thank you. Do we have any requests regarding the language?
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Van Orden.
Thank you. I request unanimous consent to approve the language as shown on the screen.
We have a unanimous consent request. Is there any objection? Hearing none, that language is accepted. We'll go forward with the bill with the do pass recommendation. Thank you. Next, Mr. Tatro, you still up?
No,
Nope.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
I
Jessup.
believe I am done.
Thank you, Mr. Tatro, for your work. Ms. Jessup, would you come forward, please? Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Janet Jessup. I'm a budget and policy analyst with Legislative Services. The next budget on your agenda is for the Department of Agriculture. The Department of Agriculture is one of the state's 20 executive departments and is over various aspects of agricultural and the agricultural economy within the state. Mr. Chair, I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Jessup. Any questions for our analyst? Hearing none, do we have any motions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, I heard a voice in who's talking? Senator Burtonshaw, go ahead.
Okay, for motion.
Motion's in order.
Department of Agriculture, beginning with fiscal year 2025 base, include the following items as part of the JFAC maintenance budget. Reduce $131,700 from benefit costs, add $1,381,700 for replacement items, add $38,100 for statewide cost allocation, add $515,100 for change in employee compensation. Also include 1 FTP and $215,000 for a veterinarian in eastern Idaho, 2 FTP and $284,600 for dairy inspectors, 1 FTP and $88,800 for seed lab personnel, $67,500 to enhance the Idaho Preferred Program, $1,500,000 to build storage facilities, $60,000 to provide international trade support with Japan, $6,184,900 for the Resilient Food Systems Program, $94,500 to provide CEC for fruit and vegetable inspectors, $5,700 for the Honey Commission, $11,569,900 for Quagga Muscle Resources, and transfer $5 million from the general fund to the Invasive Species Fund. For fiscal year 2025, I move $15,011,800 from the general fund, $38,228,800 from dedicated funds, and $13,706,800 from federal funds, for a total of $66,947,400, and cap the full-time equivalent positions at 231.
Thank you, Senator Burtonshaw. We have a motion, and the second was from Representative Bundy. Thank you for that. Would either of you like to speak further to your motion?
No, not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any alternate motions?
For motion.
Motions in order?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the Department of Agriculture, beginning with the fiscal year 2025 JFAC maintenance budget, add $348,300 for the 2% CEC. Also add one FTP and $215,000 for a veterinarian in eastern Idaho, two FTP and $284,600 for dairy inspectors, one FTP and $88,800 for seed lab personnel, $67,500 to enhance the Idaho Preferred Program, $1,500,000 to build a storage facility, $60,000 to provide international trade support with Japan, $6,184,900 for the Resilient Food Systems Grant, $94,500 to provide CEC for fruit and vegetable inspectors, $5,700 for the Honey Commission, $11,569,900 for the Quagga Mussel Resources, and transfer $5 million from the general fund to the Invasive Species Fund, and $1,381,700 for replacement items. I move an additional $1,963,500 from the general fund, $8,621,800 from dedicated funds, $6,215,600 from federal funds, for a total of $16,800,900, and an additional full-time equivalent positions of 6. That brings the fiscal year 2025 total appropriation for the Department of Agriculture to $15,011,800 from the general fund, $38,228,800 from dedicated funds, $13,706,800 from federal funds, for a total of $66,947,400, and a cap full-time equivalent positions at 231.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Second by Senator Bjerke. Would either of you like to speak further to your motion?
No, I believe this has been discussed. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Miller. Do we have any more motions? Hearing none. You were able to catch up on the screen with everything. Ms. Jessup, thank you for all your good work there. Let's go ahead and vote on this alternate, or on this substitute motion. Ms. Figueredo, when you are ready, call the roll, please.
Sorry. That's my fault, Mr. Chair.
We'll get there in just a minute.
Senator Groh,
Now we're on the screen. Aye.
Bjerke, Burtonshaw, Lent, Cook, Van Orden, Adams, Herndon, Ward Engelking, Just, Representative Miller, Bundy, Raybold, Furness, Lambert, Tanner, Petsky, Handy.
Thank you for your votes. Would anyone like to change his or her vote?
Mr. Chairman,
Excuse me.
I believe Representative Green's substitute is here. Did she step out? Oh, okay, thank you, sorry.
Thank you for the comment. Okay, we have our vote on the substitute motion. We have for the Senate, 4 ayes, 6 nays, 0 absent and excused. For the House, 3 ayes, 5 nays, 2 absent and excused, for a grand total of 7 ayes, 11 nays, 2 absent and excused. Therefore, this motion, substitute motion, has failed. So now we go to the original motion. Would you like to call? What? I was hearing a comment, I thought, somewhere. Let's go ahead and when you're ready then on the original motion. Ms. Jessup is figuring out something. We okay?
Okay, we're fine.
We're fine. Okay. On the original motion, Ms. Figueredo, would you please call the roll?
Senator Grow,
Nay?
Bierke, Burton Shaw, Lent, Cook, Van Orden, Adams, Herndon, Ward Ingle King, Just, Representative Miller, Bundy, Raybold, Furness, Lambert, Tanner, Hetzke, Handy.
Thank you. Would anyone like to change his or her vote? Hearing no changes, we have for the Senate. We had for the Senate, it disappeared.
Oh.
It is returning to the screen, hopefully.
My apologies, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, no problem. Let us know when.
I believe the ballots are on the screen, Mr. Chairman.
I do not have it on my screen yet. For some reason, not on my screen. Does everybody have it on? Does anyone does not have it on your screen? I do not have it on my screen. And up here, we don't have it on our screen for some reason. Okay, we're going to go at ease so we can figure out the screen situation. We are at ease. Let's just stay here. This should be quick. Unless you need to leave. Okay. Janie, do we have her name for voting? Hasbrook, okay. Because if none of us.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I need to change.
That's weird because those two have it over there.
Oh, not now. Excuse me for
Yes.
a second, Chairman. Sorry. Get underneath this work.
No pressure, Shane.
Wipe the rest of them out. Wipe the rest of them out now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, now we're on.
Okay, we're coming back. Thank you, Shane.
Shane. About that, sir.
Thanks, Keith. No problem. Hey, you left the tip for us here, Shane. Okay, we are back in session, and so we are ready to read the results of that vote on the original motion. We have 6 for the Senate, 6 ayes, 4 nays, 0 absent and excused. For the House, 5 ayes, 3 nays, 2 absent and excused, for a grand total of 11 ayes, 7 nays, 2 absent and excused. With that, the motion passes. And we'll go forward with a do pass recommendation. And do we have language? Ms. Jessup.
Mr. Chairman, associated with this budget, we do have language. It's currently on the screen, watercraft inspection for the watercraft inspection program, and also the language for accountability reports that you have seen this morning.
Thank you. Do we have a motion on the language?
Mr. Chairman, it's not on our screens.
Not on our screens. Thank you for that. At least we got our screen back up here, so that was good. But we just lost it again.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your grace.
Okay. We are very patient. No problem, Ms. Jessup. It's coming back. Okay, there it is. Thank you, Senator Birch. I appreciate that.
I request unanimous consent to accept the language as shown on the screen.
Thank you. We have a unanimous consent request. Any objection? Hearing no objections, the language will accompany the bill with the due pass recommendation. Thank you very much. Next up.
Mr. Chairman, also associated with the Department of Agriculture, we have a deficiency warrant for exotic species. This deficiency warrant is referenced on page 5-9 of your legislative budget book and relates to funds that were expended for the control of exotic species, including Japanese beetles, Mormon crickets, and other exotic pests. The agency has the ability to spend against the general fund for these purposes as provided in code. And I would stand for questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions on this supplemental appropriation request that we have? Ms. Raybold.
Mr. Chairman, for a motion.
Motion's in order.
I move for fiscal year 2024 for the Department of Agriculture in the Plant Industries Program, a one-time appropriation and transfer of $627,900 from the general fund to the continuously appropriated Pest Control Deficiency Fund.
Thank you for that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Senator Van Burton Shaw. Would either of you like to speak to your motion? Okay. With that, then, no discussion. So we need to vote on the supplemental, and we'll give Ms. Figueredo time to bring that up and then call the roll when you're ready.
Mr. Chairman, just a moment.
Yes. This is our new technology that's a little slower than our old technology, but we still like it. We hope.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Senator Grow,
Aye.
Bierke, Burton Shaw, Lent, Cook, Van Orden, Adams, Herndon, Ward Ingle King, Just, Miller, excuse me, Representative Miller, Bundy, Raybold, Furness, Lambert, Tanner, Petsky, Handy, Green.
Thank you for your votes. Would anyone like to change his or her vote? Seeing none, we have for the Senate 10 ayes, 0 nays, 0 absent and excused. For the House, 9 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent and excused, for a grand total of 19 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent and excused. Therefore, this motion, the supplemental appropriation motion, has passed and will go forward with a due pass recommendation. But we don't have any additional language on this. Ms. Jessup, is that correct? No additional language?
No, sir.
So this is the entirety. So that is taken care of. Let's move to your next item then, Ms. Jessup.
Mr. Chairman, the next agenda item today is the Soil and Water Conservation Commission. Soil and Water Conservation Commission is a budgeted division of the Department of Agriculture, which, as I stated previously, is one of the state's 20 executive programs. Mr. Chairman, the request, governor's recommendation, is on the screen. Mr. Chairman, I would stand for questions.
Thank you. Any questions for our analyst? Hearing none, do we have any motions?
For a motion.
Motions in order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the Soil and Water Conservation Commission, beginning with the fiscal year 2025 JFAC maintenance budget, add $27,800 for the 2% CEC, add $75,400 to increase soil and water district distributions, increase, and $1 million for the water quality program for agriculture. I move an additional $1,099,700 from the general fund and $3,500 from dedicated funds for a total of $1,103,200. This brings the fiscal year 2025 total appropriation for the Soil and Water Conservation Commission of $4,592,200 from the general fund, $424,400 from dedicated funds, for a total of $5,016,600 and a cap of 17.75 full-time equivalent.
Just a comment there. Equivalent FTPs, that just kind of ends there, Ms. Jessup, full-time equivalent
Positions.
positions? Okay.
Positions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we need to get the whole story in there. Thank you for the motion. We have a second? We have a motion on the floor with a second. Would either of you like to speak further to your motion?
No, thank you.
Okay, do we have a substitute motion?
Mr. Chairman, for the Soil and Water Conservation Commission, beginning with fiscal year 2025 base, include the following items as part of the JFAC maintenance budget. Reduce $6,900 from benefit costs, reduce $5,800 for statewide cost allocation, add $41,700 for change in employee compensation. Also add $75,400 to increase the distribution for water and soil districts. Add $2 million for the water quality program for agriculture. For fiscal year 2025, I move $4,592,200 from the general fund, $424,400 from dedicated funds, for a total of $5,016,600 and cap full-time equivalent positions at 17.75.
Thank you, Senator Burtonshaw. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Second by Representative Bundy. Would either of you like to speak further to your motion?
No, thank you.
Okay. So we have the substitute motion. Is there an amended or an alternate substitute motion? Hearing none. So let's deal with the substitute motion then. If we could, we'll give you time to bring all that up on the screen, Ms. Jessup. Thank you for your help with this. When it shows up, we'll let Ms. Figueredo call the roll.
Senator Grow.
Nay.
Bierke. Burtonshaw. Lent. Cook. Van Orden. Adams. Herndon. Ward Engelking. Just. Representative Miller. Bundy. Raybold. Furness. Lambert. Tanner. Petsky. Handy. Green.
Thank you. Would anyone like to change his or her vote? Hearing none, we have for the Senate 6 ayes, 4 nays, 0 absent and excused. For the House, 6 ayes, 3 nays, 1 absent and excused, for a total of 12 ayes, 7 nays, 1 absent and excused. So with a majority in favor, the motion passes, and we'll go forward with a do pass recommendation. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, there is language associated with this motion.
Thank you. Please bring up our language and go ahead and explain it to us, please.
Mr. Chairman, there are four distinct pieces of language. The first is standard language that has historically been present in this budget, requiring a distribution methodology for the Soil and Water Conservation Commission. The second directs the agency regarding the $1 million that was included in the motion to be used for the water quality program for agriculture. The third piece of language provides reappropriation authority for that program for the current year into 2025. And the fourth is the accountability language that you have seen previously this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Jessup. We have the language on the screen. Do we have a motion?
For motion, Mr. Chairman,
Birdshaw.
I request unanimous consent to accept the language as shown on the screen.
We have unanimous consent request. Any objections? Hearing none. That language will accompany the bill and go forward with a new pass recommendation. Thank you. Next, Ms. Jessup.
Mr. Chairman, the next budget on the agenda is for the Office of Species Conservation. The Office of Species Conservation can be found in your legislative budget book on 6-127. It is part of the general government section. Mr. Chairman, the Office of Species Conservation is included within the Office of the Governor, and I would stand for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Jessup. Any questions for our analyst? Hearing none. Do we have any motions on this bill?
For motion.
For motion, motion's in order. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the Office of Species Conservation, beginning with fiscal year 2025 JFAC maintenance budget, add $27,100 for the 2% CEC. Add one FTP and $80,900 for a fiscal staff member and $5,000 for the agency to receive grant funds. I move an additional $95,800 from the general fund, $5,000 from the dedicated funds, $12,200 from federal funds, for a total of $113,000, and an additional full-time equivalent position of one. This brings the fiscal year 2025 total appropriation for the Office of Species Conservation of $1,766,500 from the general fund, $20,000 from dedicated funds, and $18,104,500 from federal funds, for a total of $19,891,000, and a cap of 16 full-time equivalent positions.
Thank you. We have a motion from Representative Miller. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Senator Bjerke. Would either of you like to speak further to your motion?
No, thank you, Mr.
Okay. Do we have a substitute motion?
For motion.
Representative Furness. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
For the Office of Species Conservation, beginning with FY 2025 base, including the following items as part of the JFAC maintenance. Reduce $3,500 for benefit cost, add $9,300 for statewide cost allocation, and $40,700 for change in employee compensation. Add one FTP and $80,900 for a new fiscal staff member, and add $5,000 for the agency to receive grant funds. For FY 2025, I move $1,766,500 from the general fund, $20,000 from dedicated funds, and $18,104,500 from federal funds, for a total of $19,891,000, and cap full-time equivalent positions at 16.
Thank you. We have a motion by Representative Furness. Do we have a second? Second by Senator Lent. Thank you. Would either of you like to speak further to your motion?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Do we have any alternate substitute motions? Hearing none. Ms. Figueredo, when you're ready, we will have you call a roll on the substitute motion.
Mr. Chairman, just a moment, please.
Fine. We understand, Ms. Jessup, whatever time is necessary.
Senator Grow.
Nay.
Bierke. Burton Shaw. Lent. Cook. Van Orden. Adams. Herndon. Ward Engelking. Just. Representative Miller. Bundy. Raybold. Furness. Lambert. Tanner. Petsky. Handy. Green.
Thank you. Would anyone like to change his or her vote? Hearing no changes, we have on the substitute motion, we have for the Senate, 6 ayes, 4 nays, 0 absent and excused. For the House, 6 ayes, 3 nays, 1 absent and excused. For a grand total of 12 ayes, 7 nays, 1 absent and excused. Therefore, the majority voting in favor, the substitute motion passes, and we'll go forward with the do pass recommendation. Do we have any language, Ms. Jessup?
Mr. Chair, there's one piece of language that is associated with this motion. It'll be coming up on your screen very shortly.
Thank you.
And it is related to the accountability reports language that you have seen this morning.
Language is now on the screen. Do we have a motion regarding the language?
For motion.
Motion's in order.
I request unanimous consent to accept the language as shown on the screen.
Thank you. We have a unanimous consent request. Any objections? Hearing none, that language will accompany the bill and they'll all go forward with the do pass recommendation. Thank you. Next, Ms. Jessup.
Mr. Chairman, next on item 8 on the agenda this morning is the budget for the Office of Information Technology Services. This budget is located on page 6-95 of your legislative budget book in the general government section. It is included under the Office of the Governor. Mr. Chairman, I would stand for questions at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Jessup. Any questions for our analyst? Hearing none. Do we have any motions?
For a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Petsky, motions in order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the Office of Information Technology Services, beginning with the FY 2025 base, include the following items as part of the JFAC maintenance budget. Reduce $33,500 for benefit costs, reduce $172,800 for statewide cost allocation, and add $495,500 for change in employee compensation. Also include $539,900 for IT security equipment, $328,100 for network equipment and services, $986,000 for IT infrastructure, $76,400 for IT architecture and GIS, $30,000 for service vehicle leases, $1,040,200 for one-time infrastructure replacement, $1,500,000 for community engagement, and 45 FTP and $5,642,100 for IT consolidation. For FY 2025, I move $2,506,000 from the general fund and $32,154,600 from dedicated funds, for a total of $34,660,600, and kept full-time equivalent positions at 221.
Thank you. Representative Petsky has given us a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Senator Cook. Either of you like to speak to your motion?
Just briefly, Mr. Chairman, I would just say that this motion represents a complete maintenance budget for the FY 25 based on definition provided by the Budget Development Manual. This motion includes adjustments needed to maintain the current state of operations and level of service for each program as required in Idaho Code Section 67-827A. And I'll also note that we made one of these appropriations one time per the discussions in the work group so that we could continue to review these as a committee.
Thank you, Representative Petsky. Appreciate the comment. Any other comments? Hearing none, do we have an alternate or substitute motion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and vote on this motion. When it comes on the screen, please proceed, Ms. Figueredo.
Senator Grow.
Nay.
Bierke. Burton Shaw. Lent. Cook. Van Orden. Adams. Herndon. Ward Engelking. Just. Representative Miller. Bundy. Raybold. Furness. Lambert. Tanner. Petsky. Handy. Green.
Thank you for your votes. Would anyone like to change his or her vote? Hearing none, we have on the screen for the Senate, 6 ayes, 4 nays, 0 absent and excused. For the House, 6 ayes, 3 nays, 1 absent and excused. For a grand total of 12 ayes, 7 nays, 1 absent and excused. Therefore, the majority having voted in the affirmative, this motion will go forward as a bill with a due pass recommendation to the floors. Ms. Jessup, do we have language here to add, please?
Mr. Chairman, there's only one piece of language associated with this budget. It's on the screen, and it is the accountability report language that you have seen previously.
Okay, as soon as it shows on the screen, there we go. Okay, do we have any motions on the language? Representative Petsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I request unanimous consent to accept the language as shown on the screen.
We have a unanimous consent request. Is there any objection? Hearing none. Let's send that forward then with the bill with a due pass recommendation. Thank you. Ms. Jessup, that concludes your piece. Let's move then to Ms. Libet. Thank you for your work, Ms. Jessup. Appreciate it. When you're settled in, please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Office of Energy and Mineral Resources advises the governor and the legislature on energy and mineral resources within the state and can be found on page 6-71 of your legislative budget book.
That's it?
And that's it. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Ms. Libet. Any questions for our analyst, Senator Herndon?
This is for a motion, Mr. Chair.
For a motion. Motion's in order.
Mr. Chairman, beginning for the Office of Energy and Mineral Resources, beginning with the fiscal year 2025 JFAC maintenance budget, add $19,900 for the additional 2% CEC and add $4,400,000 for electric grid modernization. For fiscal year 2025, I move an additional $8,600 from dedicated funds and $4,411,300 from federal funds for a total of $4,419,900. This brings the total fiscal year 2025 appropriation for the Office of Energy and Mineral Resources to $1,079,000 from dedicated funds and $11,587,500 from federal funds for a total of $12,666,500 and a cap of 11 full-time equivalent positions.
Thank you. Senator Herndon has given us a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Representative Lambert. Either of you like to speak further to your motion?
Mr. Chairman, this motion provides the remaining 2% CEC needed as a result of the committee's action on CEC on February 1st and grants to modernize the electric grid, which will be awarded to Idaho grid operators, transmission owners and operators, distribution providers, and other entities to make investments to harden the electric grid, enhance resiliency, prevent wildfires, and prevent electricity outages.
Thank you very much. Do we have any substitute motions?
Mr. Chairman.
Who is it?
Over here.
Over where?
Wrong way.
Just say who it is.
Sorry about that. Representative Petsky over here.
Thank you. Representative Petsky, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First substitute motion for the Office of Energy and Mineral Resources, beginning with the FY 2025 base, include the following items as part of the budget. remove $2,900 for benefit costs, add $13,600 for statewide cost allocation, and add $29,800 for change in employee compensation. Also include $4,400,000 for electric grid modernization. For FY 2025, I move $1,079,000 from dedicated funds and $11,587,500 from federal funds for a total of $12,666,500 and cap full-time equivalent positions at 11.
Thank you, Representative Petsky. We have a motion by him. Do we have a second? Second by Senator Lynn. Thank you. Anybody like to speak for the motion?
Just briefly, Mr. Chairman.
What?
I would just add that we included the electric grid modernization program because it is a continuation of an existing program that they're already granting funds for.
Thank you. Appreciate that comment. Any further comments? Hearing none, let's go ahead and when you get it on the screen, we'll call the roll, Ms. Figueredo.
Senator Grow.
Hey, let me clarify. This is the roll on the substitute motion, correct?
Correct, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Nay?
Yerke. Nay. Burtonshaw. Aye. Lent. Aye. Cook. Aye. Van Orden. Adams. Nay. Herndon. Nay. Ward Ingleking. Aye. Just. Aye. Representative Miller. Nay. Bundy. Aye. Raybold. Aye. Furness. Aye. Lambert. Nay. Tanner. Nay. Petsky. Aye. Handy. Aye. Green.
Thank you. Would anyone like to change his or her vote? Hearing none, we have on the screen for the Senate 6 ayes, 4 nays, 0 absent and excused. For the House, 6 ayes, 3 nays, 1 absent and excused, for a grand total of 12 ayes, 7 nays, 1 absent and excused. Therefore, with the majority having voted in the affirmative, the substitute motion passes and will go forward to the floor with a do pass recommendation. Do we have language?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we do have language.
Go ahead, please.
Hold, please. All right. The language shown on the screen provides the Office of Energy and Mineral Resources reappropriation authority for its State Energy Resiliency Grant Program. The second section of language is the familiar accountability reports language that is being included in all budget bills.
Thank you. We have language on the screen. Do we have a motion on the language? Representative Petsky.
I request unanimous consent to accept the language as shown on the screen.
Thank you. We have a unanimous consent request. Bert, objection? Okay, we have an objection, so we need a roll call vote.
Mr. Chairman, do I need to move that first?
Yeah, I need a motion if you want it.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Chairman, for a motion.
Thank you.
I move that we accept the language as shown on the screen.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the language as shown on the screen. Do we have a second? Second. Representative Raybold, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Either of you like to speak further to, would you like to speak to your objection?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll be voting against the language. There is a significant difference in language as compared to our original motion for this budget, and that's the reason for my objection, so my opportunity to vote nay.
Thank you. Did you want to clarify any further, or is that sufficient? That's sufficient. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and have a vote on this language with this substitute motion.
Okay, thank
you. We have a question from the floor. Go ahead, Vice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't understand the difference in language. Would you help me understand that, Senator?
Senator Herndon, you've had a request to help us understand the difference in the language. Go ahead, please.
Chairman, I'll ask the motion maker to go ahead and explain the difference in the language.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I might defer to the analyst if I could pass the ball again.
Okay, the ball is jumping around from side to side. Ms. Lippett, do you want to help us understand the difference in the language?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's the difference between the original motion and the substitute motion. If I understand, the substitute motion is your motion, Representative Petsky, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So the substitute motion includes the reappropriation language and the accountability reports language that were included in that original maintenance budget that was passed. The original motion also includes this second section of language that provides restrictions on how the office can expend resilient grid grants and requires them to report out on how those grants are distributed.
Okay, Ms. Lippett, thank you. Is that helpful? Representative Miller, do you want further? Go ahead, whatever you'd like.
Okay, then it is the original motion that has the reappropriation authority.
Ms. Lippett?
Mr. Chair and Representative Miller, no. The original motion does not include the reappropriation language because that language was previously acted on by this body. So I think that the right way to handle this is to make these two decisions sequentially and separately. So first, making a decision on the reappropriation and the accountability reports language, and then the committee might wish to consider the language that had been proposed as a part of the original motion.
Thank you, Ms. Lippett. Mr. Bybee, would you like to add to that?
Mr. Chairman, I apologize. The motion was to include both sections of language on the screen. I don't know why we're trying to separate them at this point. That was the motion. And so, as I understand it, reappropriation was not included in the action taken on January the 16th, only the standard language regarding resiliency grant. And so this would provide reappropriation authority. Now, when we're going through that standard language for the action taken on the 16th, many many of the analysts, as we're going through the sections of language that have been approved in the bill before, as you remember, we didn't include reappropriation authority in some sections because we knew that there was additional action to be taken by the committee and it could be added into the bill at this time. And so that is the difference between the two sections as I understand it.
Thank you. May I go ahead, Senator Herndon, do you have a question?
Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to go ahead and ask for clarification. Then we have two packets for this office, and there were two sets of languages. And so it sounds to me like all we need to do is we would approve the first set of language, which was Representative Petsky's motion, and then we could ask unanimous consent to include the additional language that was in packet A, if I'm not mistaken.
Chairman Groh and Senator Herndon, yes, that's correct.
Okay, Mr. Bybee, let me ask a question, if I may.
Sure.
So relative to the budgets passed on January 16th versus what we're doing now, help us understand, does this language in any way alter those maintenance budgets that were passed in January?
Mr. Chairman, no, it does not. It would replicate the language that was the motion passed in January 16th.
So we need this language under either scenario, is that correct or no?
Mr. Chairman, correct. Yeah, either scenario works.
Good. Senator Herndon, you good with that?
So for clarification then, on packet A, which had the resilient grid grants and the energy resilience subgrant reporting sections, that language, we still do need that as well?
Mr. Chairman and
Mr. Bybee, go ahead.
Members of the committee, that would be in a separate motion. This first motion was only for these first two sections of language.
Okay. I think we got it figured out. Is that are we okay?
Yes,
Senator
Mr.
Herndon, go
Chairman.
ahead.
So we have a motion on the floor, so I'd like to make a substitute motion. And that would be to accept the language as shown in Packet B for the reappropriation and accountability reports, and the language in Packet A for resilient grid grants and energy resiliency subgrant reporting, so that there would be 4 sections of language.
Ms. Lippett, does that get us everything we need? Mr. Bybee, does that solve our problem? Mr. Bybee's going to chime in here.
Mr. Chairman, I think you closed the motion and asked for a vote first, so I think that you can take that up as a subsequent motion.
That was my thinking as well, so thank you. Okay, so we have a request, a unanimous consent request. We had an objection. Are you withdrawing your objection? Okay, say it, please. Senator Herndon is?
It's too late to withdraw my objection, so we'll have to go forward with the vote on
Okay.
the motion, and then I'll make another motion.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's go ahead and vote on the language that was requested by Representative Pesky. We're waiting for it to come on the screen. If we're not just sitting here idly, we're waiting. Okay, we need a little help here. Go ahead, Mr. Bybee. Yeah, he would like to go at ease. We'll be at ease for a couple of seconds here. We're at ease. We are back in order. And this is showing as an original motion because we're talking about the language now, but it's tied to the substitute motion, correct? Yeah, everybody understand what we're voting on? Okay, let's go ahead then. Ms. Figueredo, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and for your patience. Senator Grow.
Aye.
Bierke. Burtonshaw. Lent. Cook. Van Orden. Adams. Herndon. Ward Engelking. Just. Representative Miller.
Aye.
Bundy. Raybold. Furness. Lambert. Tanner. Petsky. Handy. Green.
Okay, let me clarify. We're voting on language that was included basically in either one, if I'm correct. And so did I. Is there a question?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to change my vote.
Yeah, feel free. So Senator Bierke is going to change from a nay to an aye. So we have for the Senate 10 ayes, 0 nays, 0 absent and excused. For the House 9 ayes, 0 nays. 1 absent and excused for a grand total of 19 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent and excused. Therefore, the majority having voted in the affirmative, the language shown on the screen passes and will go forward. And now we're open to add additional language. Senator Herndon, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do request unanimous consent to accept the language as shown on the screen, and that would be from Packet A for the Office of Energy and Mineral Resources.
Okay, so we're just looking at the lower half that's showing on the screen. Is that correct? Just the lower half or the whole page? Senator Herndon, what's your
That
motion?
looks like the correct language, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, the lower half. All right. Okay, but making sure, trying to make sure it's all in there.
Both of those sections, Mr.
Both
Chairman.
of those sections. All right. Okay, so we have a unanimous consent request for both of those sections for the language to be added to the other language to go along with the bill. Unanimous consent request. Any objections? Hearing none, that additional language is added to the first language along with the bill, and we'll go forward with the do pass recommendation. Thank you. And thank you for helping us clarify all the language issues. Appreciate that. Let's go ahead, Ms. Lippett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next item on the agenda is the Commission on the Arts budget, which can be found on page 6-53 of your legislative budget book. The Commission on the Arts supports artists and educational arts activities throughout the state.
Okay, that's the comments from Ms. Lippett. Any questions for our analyst? Hearing none. Do we have any motions?
Mr. Chairman, Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the Commission on the Arts, beginning with the FY 2025 base, include the following items as part of the JFAC adjusted budget. Remove $2,500 for benefit costs, add $1,300 for inflationary adjustments, remove $9,600 for statewide cost allocation, and add $22,900 for change in employee compensation. Also include $50,000 for National Endowment for the Arts grants and transfer $50,000 in dedicated funds from operating expenditures to trustee and benefit payments for the match. For FY 2025, I move $933,400 from the general fund, $106,300 from dedicated funds, and $1,213,400 from federal funds for a total of $2,253,100 and cap full-time equivalent positions at 10.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Senator Ward Engelking is a second to that motion. Would you like to speak further to your motion? Okay. Do we have any substitute motions? Oh, Senator Bierke.
Mr. Chairman, for motion.
Motion's in order.
Mr. Chairman, Committee for the Commission on the Arts, beginning with fiscal year 2025 JFAC maintenance budget, add $15,400 for the additional 2% CEC and add $50,000 for National Endowment for the Arts grants. I move an additional $7,200 from the general fund and $58,200 from the federal funds for a total of $65,400. This brings the total fiscal year 2025 appropriation for the Commission on the Arts to $933,400 from the general fund, $106,300 from dedicated funds, and $1,213,400 from the federal funds for a total of $2,253,100 and a cap of 10 full-time equivalent positions.
Thank you, Senator Bierke. We have a motion, a substitute motion. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Representative Miller. Thank you. Either of you like to speak further to your motion?
Mr. Chairman, just further discussion here. This motion provides, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This motion provides the remaining 2% CEC needed as a result of the committee's action on CEC on February 1st. Line item 1 provides a $50,000 increase for the National Endowment for the Arts grants. $50,000 in existing dedicated appropriation will be used as the state's one-to-one match.
Thank you. I'm looking at the screen and trying to understand this substitute motion. Do we have everything up there, Ms. Lippett?
Mr. Chairman, are you referring to the motion itself or to the ballot?
I'm looking at the substitute motion that's here on the screen with Bierke and Miller. Shows a total of $65,000. Is that the motion? And the other one's $2 million?
Yes, that's correct. The substitute motion provides the difference between the fiscal year 2025 total line and then what this committee had previously acted on.
Got it. Okay. I just want to make sure we're all clear what we're voting on there. All right. We have the substitute motion. Do we have any alternates to the substitute motion? Not seeing any. Let's go ahead, and when you're ready, Ms. Figueredo, you could call the roll for us. This is on the substitute motion.
Senator Grow,
Aye.
Bierke, Burtonshaw, Lent, Cook, Van Orden, Adams, Herndon, Ward Engelking, Just, Representative Miller,
Aye.
Bundy, Raybold, Furness, Lambert, Tanner, Petsky, Handy, Green.
Thank you for your votes. Would anyone like to change his or her vote? Hearing none, we have for the substitute motion for the Senate, we have a total of 4 ayes, 6 nays, 0 absent and excused. For the House, 3 ayes, 6 nays, 1 absent and excused, for a grand total of 7 ayes, 12 nays, 1 absent and excused. Therefore, majority having voted against this substitute motion, this motion fails, and we now back up to the original motion.
Senator Grow,
Nay?
Bierke, Burtonshaw, Lent, Cook, Van Orden, Adams, Herndon, Ward Engelking, Just, Representative Miller,
Nay.
Bundy, Raybold, Furness, Lambert, Tanner, Petsky, Handy, Green.
Thank you for your votes. We have on the original motion, we have 6 ayes, 4 nays, 0 absent and excused. And for the House, we have 6 ayes, 3 nays, 1 absent and excused, for a grand total of 12 ayes, 7 nays, 1 absent and excused. Therefore, the majority having voted in the affirmative, this motion, the original motion, goes forward to the floor with a do pass recommendation. Do we have language?
Mr. Chairman, yes, we do. Hold, please.
Please proceed. We'll look at that on the screen, and then we'll take a motion when somebody's ready to give us one.
Mr. Chairman, this section of the language provides for the accountability reports.
Thank you, Ms. Libet. Do we have a motion on the language on the screen? Representative Petsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I request unanimous consent to accept the language as shown on the screen.
We have a unanimous consent request. Do we have any objections? Hearing none, that language is accepted and we'll go forward with the bill, and all of it being one package with a do pass recommendation. Thank you. Public Utilities Commission next, right? Ms. Lippitt, go ahead, please.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. The Public Utilities Commission regulates investor-owned utilities within the state, as well as railroads and pipelines, and can be found on page 5-55 of your legislative budget book.
Thank you. Any questions for our analyst? Hearing none, let's go ahead with any motions we may have on public utilities.
Mr. Chairman?
I hear a voice from the far. Who is it?
Over here.
Bierke? Thank you. Senator Bierke, go ahead, please.
For motion.
Motion's in order.
Mr. Chairman. For the Public Utilities Commission, beginning with the fiscal year 2025 JFAC maintenance budget, add $87,200 for the additional 2% CEC and $69,600 for replacement items. I move an additional $153,600 from dedicated funds and $3,200 from federal funds for a total of $156,800. This brings the total fiscal year 2025 appropriation for the Public Utilities Commission to $7,104,800 from dedicated funds and $375,100 from federal funds. for a total of $7,479,900 and a cap of 48 full-time equivalent positions.
Thank you. We have a motion from Senator Bjorky. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Representative Miller. Either of you like to speak to the motion? Nope. Okay. So we have that motion. Do we have any substitute motions?
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Cook, go ahead.
Thank you. For the Public Utilities Commission, beginning with fiscal year 2025 base, remove $12,500 for personal benefit costs, add $69,600 for replacement items, add $182,700 for statewide cost allocation, and add $130,100 for CEC. For fiscal year 2025, I move $7,104,800 from dedicated funds and $375,100 from federal funds for a total of $7,479,900 and a cap of 48 full-time equivalent positions.
Thanks, Senator Cook. We have a motion from him. Do we have a second? Second from Representative Petsky. Either of you like to speak further to your motion?
I would, please, Mr. Chairman. This motion represents a complete maintenance budget for fiscal year 25 based on the definition provided in the Budget Development Manual developed under the requirements of Chapter 35, Title 67, Idaho Code, that outlines the state budget process. This definition reflects the adjustments needed to maintain the current state of operations and level of service for each program, which includes the committee's recommended 3% CEC for permanent employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Cook. We appreciate your comments. Any further questions or comments on that? So this is a substitute motion now that's going up. And when it gets on the screen, we will have a vote called by Ms. Figueredo.
Senator Grow?
Waiting to see it. Okay, there you go. Nay?
Bierke? Burton Shaw? Lent? Cook? Van Orden? Adams? Herndon? Ward Engel King? Just? Representative Miller?
Nay.
Bundy? Raybold? Furness? Lambert? Tanner? Petsky? Handy? Green?
Thank you for your votes. Would anyone like to change his or her vote? Seeing no changes, we have on the substitute motion. For the Senate, we have 6 ayes, 4 nays, 0 absent and excused. For the House, 6 ayes, 3 nays, 1 absent and excused. A grand total of 12 ayes, 7 nays, 1 absent and excused. The majority haven't voted in the affirmative. This bill will go forward with a due pass recommendation. Do we have language, Ms. Lippett?
Mr. Chair, yes, we do. Oops. Let me get that on the screen for everyone. The language on the screen provides for the accountability reports.
Okay, we have language on the screen. Do we have a motion? Go ahead.
Motion, Mr. Chairman. I request unanimous consent to accept the language as shown on the screen.
Thank you, Senator Cook. We have a unanimous consent request. Any objections? Hearing none, that request is accepted and will go forward. This language will go forward with the bill to the floor with a due pass recommendation. Thank you, Ms. Lippett. Do we have anything else there? I see more things on the screen.
Mr. Chair, those are all my budgets.
Those are all your budgets?
Yes.
Thank you very much for your work. We appreciate that today.
Thank you.
And then we will move on to Mr. Hibbard. Please identify yourself for the record when you are ready and proceed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Tim Hibbard. I am a budget and policy analyst with Legislative Services. Next up on the agenda, we have the budget for the Board of Tax Appeals, which can be found on page 6-179 of the Legislative Budget Book. The Board of Tax Appeals provides taxpayers the opportunity to appeal their ad valorem assessed valuations from a county board of equalization or tax decisions from the Idaho State Tax Commission. The three-member board provides an opportunity for appellants and respondents to present testimony and evidence as a quasi-judicial board hearing rather than through a district court trial, which can necessitate legal representation and expense. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I conclude my remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Hibbard. Any questions for our analyst? Hearing none. Do we have any motions? Herndon.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for a motion.
Motion's in order.
For the Board of Tax Appeals, beginning with the fiscal year 2025 JFAC maintenance budget, add $7,200 for the 2% CEC, add $4,400 for replacement items. I move an additional $11,600 from the general fund. This brings the fiscal year 2025 appropriation for the Board of Tax Appeals to $656,000 from the general fund and cap full-time equivalent positions at 4.
Thank you. We have a motion from Senator Herndon. Do we have a second? Second by Senator Bjorky. Either of you like to speak further to the motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just to say that the board member per diem that was in the agency and governor's request does require a policy bill to pass both the House and Senate before action by this committee can be taken.
Thank you for that clarification. Any further comments? Hearing none. Do we have an alternative or substitute motion?
For motion?
Motion's in order. Thank you, Representative Furness. Go ahead.
For the Board of Tax Appeals, beginning with FY 2025 base, include the following items as part of the JFAC maintenance budget. Reduce $1,000 for benefit costs. Add $1,400 for inflationary adjustments. Add $4,400 for replacement items. Reduce $14,800 for statewide cost allocation. And add $10,800 for change in employee compensation. For FY 2025, I move $656,000 from the general fund and cap full-time equivalent positions at 4.
Thank you. Representative Furness has given us a motion for a substitute motion. Do we have a second? Second by Senator Cook. Would either of you like to speak further to the motion?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead. So now do we have an alternate substitute motion? Hearing none, let's go ahead with a vote on the substitute motion then. When it's on the screen, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Senator Grow.
Nay.
Bierke. Burtonshaw. Lent. Cook. Van Orden. Adams. Herndon. Ward Engelking. Just. Representative Miller.
Nay.
Bundy. Raybold. Furness. Lambert. Tanner. Petsky. Handy. Green.
Thank you. Would anyone like to change his or her vote? Hearing no changes on the substitute motion, we have 6 ayes for the Senate, 4 nays, 0 absent and excused, and for the House, 6 ayes, 3 nays, 1 absent and excused, for a grand total of 12 ayes, 7 nays, 1 absent and excused. Therefore, with the majority voting in the affirmative, this substitute motion has passed and will go forward with a do pass recommendation. Do we have language, Mr. Hibbard?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is the standard accountability reports language that you've seen in the other budgets.
We'll wait and see it on the screen, make sure everybody likes it. Okay, there's your language. We We have a motion on language. Representative Furness.
Thank you. I request unanimous consent to accept the language as shown on the screen.
We have a unanimous consent request. Any objections? Hearing none. Language will be accepted and move forward along with the bill. Thank you. Mr. Hibbard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next up on the agenda, we have the State Tax Commission. The State Tax Commission has 5 budgeted programs: general services, audit, compliance, revenue operations, and property tax, and provides a variety of services to help Idaho taxpayers pay and comply with their taxes. And if there are any questions, I am here.
Thank you, Mr. Hibbard. Any questions for our analyst? Hearing none. Do we have any motions?
Mr. Chairman.
Representative Petsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the Idaho State Tax Commission, beginning with the FY 2025 base, include the following items as part of the JFAC maintenance budget. Reduce $154,100 for benefit costs, add $187,000 for inflationary adjustments, add $363,100 for replacement items, reduce $687,400 for statewide cost allocation, add $968,600 for change in employee compensation, add $383,100 for OITS equipment modernization, and include a net zero program transfer for a technology and innovation bureau. For FY 2025, I move $44,237,800 from the general fund and $9,272,700 from dedicated funds, for a total of $53,510,500, and cap full-time equivalent positions at 440.
Thank you. We have a motion from Representative Petsky. Do we have a second? Second by Senator Cook. Either of you like to speak further to your motion?
Briefly, Mr. Chairman, I would just add that similar to the last budget that we saw, the Commissioner CEC is dependent upon a policy bill, and so we will have to take that up if that policy bill passes.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other comments? Hearing none, do we have a substitute motion?
Mr. Chairman, for a substitute motion.
Senator Bjerke, substitute motion.
Mr. Chairman, let's hold off on that.
So you just, okay.
I'll take that back.
Okay, he's taking that back. So what we do have is the motion. Make sure.
Motion for maintenance budget. Do you want to do it?
Whatever you think. Go ahead if you want. Okay, let's don't do it then. Okay, all right. Hearing no substitute motions, let's go ahead with a vote on the original motion when you have it up on the screen, please.
Senator Groh.
Nay.
Bjerke. Burton-Shaw. Lent. Cook. Van Orden. Adams. Herndon. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Ward Ingle-King. Just. Representative Miller.
Nay.
Bundy. Raybold. Furness. Lambert. Tanner. Petsky. Handy. Green.
We have to call our names again.
Senator Herndon.
We have to vote, folks.
Representative Tanner.
Okay, everyone having voted, we have on the original and only motion, we have for the Senate 6 ayes, 4 nays, 0 absent and excused. For the House, 6 ayes, 3 nays, 1 absent and excused, for a grand total of 12 ayes, 7 nays, 1 absent and excused. Therefore, majority having voted in the affirmative, this passes with a do pass recommendation. It will go forward to the floor.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Can we get some clarification, please, as to what that motion was that was just voted in favor?
Thank you. Clarification by whom would like to clarify the motion? I guess I'll ask, do you have a specific question or concern on it?
Yes, I would just like the motion read back to us, please.
Thank you. Okay. Could we read the motion back to us, please?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. For the Idaho State Tax Commission, beginning with the FY 2025 base, include the following items as part of the JFAC maintenance budget. Reduce $154,100 for benefit costs, add $187,000 for inflationary adjustments, add $363,100 for replacement items, reduce $687,400 for a statewide cost allocation, and $968,600 for change in employee compensation, add $383,100 for OIT's equipment modernization, and include a net zero program transfer for a technology and innovation bureau. For FY 2025, I move $44,237,800 from the general fund and $9,272,700 from dedicated funds for a total of $53,510,500 and cap full-time equivalent positions at 440.
Thank you. It's been read back. Are we clear? But was it not read correctly the first time? Was that your concern?
I did have a question as to whether it was read correctly the first time.
Thank you.
That's the confusion.
Thank you for that. Anytime anybody questions whether it's read correctly, please let us know and we'll make sure we get it right. Thank you for that. Okay. Mr. Bybee, we okay not to vote again? Are we all right? There was a question whether or not...
Mr. Chairman, the vote has already occurred.
Okay.
I didn't hear if there was an incorrect number read, and I'll look to Tim to make sure that the numbers were read correctly. Okay. Got the head nod from Mr. Hibbard. Numbers were read correctly. The vote was already taken. So
okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you for the clarification. All right. Let's see. So do we have language there? Do we have a motion on the language?
Mr. Chairman.
Representative Pesky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would request unanimous consent to accept the language as shown on the screen.
Thank you. We have a unanimous consent request to accept the language as shown on the screen. Any objections? Hearing none. Language is accepted. We'll go along with the bill. Thank you. Next, Mr. Hibbard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The last item I have for you this morning is the budget for the Division of Financial Management. The mission of the Division of Financial Management is to support the governor's vision of a short and long-term policy through effective resource allocation. DFM seeks to improve agency service delivery at the point of citizen impact by developing, monitoring, and publicizing performance outcomes, facilitating the development of the executive budget recommendation, and providing a proactive policy resource for the governor to shape Idaho's future. And with that, the budget is before you.
Thank you, Mr. Hibbard. Do we have a motion on the Tax Commission, right?
Division of Financial
Division
Management.
of Financial Management.
Chairman.
It's the right one here. Okay, Division of Financial Management. Do we have a motion by anybody?
Mr. Chairman, for a motion.
Motion's in order. Senator Lent.
Thank you. For the Division of Financial Management, beginning with the FY 2025 base, include the following items as part of the JFAC maintenance budget: a reduction of $3,200 from benefit costs and $32,500 from statewide cost allocation and $67,400 for change in employee compensation. For FY 2025, I move $2,228,200 from the general fund, $936,800 from dedicated funds, and $41,677,100 from federal funds, for a total of $44,842,100, and cap full-time equivalent positions at 22.
Thank you. We have a motion from Senator Lent. Do we have a second? Second from Representative Petsky. Would either of you like to speak further to your motion? No? Okay. Do we have any alternate motions?
For motion?
Motion's in order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the Division of Financial Management, beginning with the fiscal year 2025 JFAC maintenance budget, add $45,800 for the 2% CEC. I move an additional $33,200 from the general fund, $10,400 from dedicated funds, and $2,200 from federal funds, for a total of $45,800. This brings the fiscal year 2025 appropriation for the Division of Financial Management to $2,228,200 from the general fund, $936,800 from dedicated funds, $41,677,100 from federal funds, for a total of $44,842,100, and cap full-time equivalent positions at 22.
Thank you. We have a motion by Representative Miller. Do we hear a second? Second by Senator Bierke. Would either of you like to speak further to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, hearing no further. Do you have any alternate substitute motions? Hearing none, let's go ahead and vote on the substitute motion. Ms. Figueredo, when you are ready, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Senator Grow.
Aye.
Bierke. Aye. Burtonshaw. Nay. Lent. Nay. Cook. Nay. Van Orden. Adams. Aye. Herndon. Aye. Ward Engelking. Nay. Just. Nay. Representative Miller. Aye. Bundy. Raybold. Nay. Furness. Lambert. Tanner. Petsky. Handy. Green.
Thank you. Would anyone like to change his or her vote? Hearing no changes. On the substitute motion, we have for the Senate 4 ayes, 6 nays, 0 absent and excused. For the House, 3 ayes, 6 nays, 1 absent and excused, for a grand total of 7 ayes, 12 nays, 1 absent and excused. The failing a majority vote, this motion fails. And we go back to the original motion. When you're ready, please call the roll.
Senator Grow.
Nay.
Bierke. Nay. Burtonshaw. Aye. Lent. Aye. Cook. Aye. Van Orden. Aye. Adams. Nay. Herndon. Nay. Ward Engelking. Aye. Just. Representative Miller. Aye. Bundy. Aye. Raybold. Aye. Furness. Lambert. Aye. Tanner. Aye. Petsky. Aye. Handy. Aye. Green. Aye.
Thank you for your votes. On the original motion, we have for the Senate, 6 ayes, 4 nays, 0 absent and excused. For the House, 6 ayes, 3 nays, 1 absent and excused, for a grand total of 12 ayes, 7 nays, 1 absent and excused. The majority having voted in the affirmative. Therefore, this original motion passes and will go forward to the floors with the do pass recommendation. Do we have language?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have standard accountability report language.
Let's see that on the screen when you're ready. There you go. Okay. Here is our accountability report, standard language. Do we have any motion?
Mr. Chairman.
From, I heard that voice, Senator Lind.
I request unanimous consent that we accept the language as written on the screen.
We have a unanimous consent request from Senator Lent. Any objections? Hearing none, that language is accepted and will go forward with the bill along with the do pass recommendation. Thank you. Mr. Hibbard, is that it for you?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that is it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Hibbard. Appreciate your work today. Mr. Bybee, please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would you mind going at ease so I can hand out
Sure.
my attachment? I didn't have my act together this morning. I apologize. So
No
just
problem.
Pages help me.
We will be at ease. Pages, please help hand that out. Thank you. We're at ease. Okay, we're back in order. Mr. Bybee, please proceed. Identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Keith Bybee, I'm the Division Manager of Budget and Policy Analysis.
Hang on just a minute. Got to give everybody time to get seated here. We lost a couple in the way, it looks like. Okay, go ahead, please, again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm the Keith Bybee. I'm the Division Manager of Budget and Policy Analysis. Last action item for the committee this morning is to correct an error that occurred on the committee action from January the 16th. I should have caught this, being it's for the legislative branch, but the legislative branch actually does not have a full-time equivalent position cap, and the error that I made was included in the motion sheets, and I apologize for that, but this would require either just making a motion to remove that FTP cap or reopening the budget, depending upon where we're at. I wrote this a while ago, so operating under committee rules and how that is interpreted from the chairman on how you'd like to proceed there.
Okay, so let me just clarify. So you need a motion to change the cap on the legislative group.
Correct.
Okay.
For a motion,
This technical correction, go ahead.
I request unanimous consent to reopen the 2025 maintenance appropriation to the legislative branch.
Okay, we have a unanimous consent request. Anyone, any objections? If not, we've accepted that. What's the next motion? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I request to remove the full-time equivalent position cap for the legislative branch.
Okay, we have a motion. I guess we need a second second by Senator Bjerke to remove the full-time equivalent position cap for legislative branch. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and have a vote and give Ms. Figueredo time to pull that up. When you're ready, Ms. Figueredo, you can go ahead and call the roll.
Senator Grow.
Aye.
Bierke. Burtonshaw. Lent. Cook. Van Orden. Adams. Herndon. Ward Engelking. Just. Representative Miller. Bundy. Raybold. Furness. Lambert. Tanner. Hetzke. Handy. Green.
Thank you. Would anyone like to change his or her vote? Hearing no changes, we have for the Senate 9 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent and excused. For the House, 8 ayes, 0 nays, 2 absent and excused. For a grand total 17 ayes, 0 nays, 3 absent and excused. The majority having voted in the affirmative, that motion passes, and we'll go to the floor with due pass for a recommendation. Thank you. Mr. Bybee, that concludes our... Oh, you've got a general fund analysis. Did you want to do that today, or should we try another day? What's your...
I'm completely unprepared to do that. I apologize.
Okay. All right. So we will hold that. We appreciate the update that Mr. Bybee gives us every few days so we know where we are. And that deals with policy bills that are floating around on the floor that will affect our budget. And so we need to know what's happening in the germane committees and the floors, as well as what we're doing in here. So thank you, Mr. Bybee, for that. With that, we will stand adjourned until 8 o'clock Monday morning. See you then.